Hey everybody, welcome to the video on 4.5, which is adding and subtracting decimals. Now, this point of this is very simple and a very easy job. We just need to make sure that when we are adding and subtracting decimals, it's a lot like adding and subtracting whole numbers. Now, if we're using this as one whole, okay, we've been using this as we've done in class. If this is one whole, and I want 2/10, we know that 2/10 is represented like this. It's 2 out of the 10. Now, if we wanted 2/100ths, it would be like this, correct? So that's just a quick review. So if this is 1, that would be 2/10 and 2/100. So that, let's just do a quick review of that. All right. Now, when adding and subtracting of this, if I had a problem like this. First off, we don't like doing adding problems horizontally like this. It's easier if we put one on top of the other. So let's do this. And so I add. Could you do this problem this way? Well, if you did, you would have a plus 2 is carry the 1 like that. Okay? There's a massive problem with this. Is if you had 7 of these, because there's 7/10 right there, and 2 of these, which there's 2 of the 10 spots there, that would add up to 9 of these 6. And so that's not possible. So there's something seriously wrong we did there. And the thing we did, and the thing you need to remember with adding and subtracting long numbers, and this should be written on your page in giant letters and circled and everything else, is we must line up the decimal points. We need to line up the decimal point. Here, our decimal point is here and here. They are not lined up at all. They are not lined up at all. So if I was going to do it again, I would need to do it like this. 78/100ths, and then I need to have, oh, now my decimal points are lined up. Decimal point, decimal point, decimal point. Now I have an empty spot right there. That's okay. I can put a 0 to fix it out. So now I can add these, and I have 8 plus 0 is 8. 7 plus 2 is 9. 0 plus 0 is 0. So the answer is 98/100ths. So even though they might have the same number of digits on each line, so there might be 3 and then maybe 4 here, the decimal point still needs to be lined up. So let's try another one. Let's do so we have 63/100ths plus 14.1. So I'm going to write it vertically up and down because it's easier. And I need to make sure my decimal points are lined up. Once I have that, it's really easy. I could put a 0 in places where it's missing, and I could just 3 plus 0 is just do it the way we've been taught all the way through. So our answer is 14 and 73/100ths. You need to keep your decimal point lined up. The same is true with subtraction. So let's say 16 minus. Now, we've hit a problem. Okay? I know, okay, I need to do my decimal points, and I have the decimal point right there, and no decimal point. Well, where's the decimal point in 16? 16 always has a decimal point, but unless you put a 0 after it, it doesn't have to show itself. So I'm going to add the decimal point and then a 0 after it, because I can add as many zeros as I want. Not going to make any difference as long as I have the decimal point in that spot. You can add zeros. The minute I put a 1 at the end, now it made a difference. And then I'm going to do, okay, I don't need all these zeros, so I'm going to take them away. I'm going to subtract. So now I want you to pretend this is like 160 minus 46, and you will subtract the regular way. The only difference here is you have a decimal point, and then you'll have a decimal point down here. So I would borrow from the 6 and do it like such. And my answer is 11.4. If I was going to do it this way, same thing. Be 114, but since I know my decimal points are here, I'll put that right there. Now, oh, I'm sorry. Let me move it up a little bit for you. I just looked at my screen. Now, we need to keep the decimal points up. We need to keep the decimal points lined up. So, let's look at some problems that you might see there. Now, here's a good example of if we actually use the base 10 blocks, we could show 7600ths and 2 tenths and how that add up to 9600ths. But this, the decimal point's not lined up, so it's not going to work. So now, can you try these? And you should be able to do it in your head. Try them real quick. Take a couple from these. Try it. Take a couple from these. Try it. All right. Is it possible to use the same method for adding and subtracting decimals that you use for whole numbers? Absolutely. You just need to make sure they're lined up correctly. So let's try this one. I'd like you to do this on your board. So you should have, let me try to write it. You should have, because I don't like them horizontally, it's hard that way. You should be able to do it like this. You have that extra spot? Put a 0 there if you wanted to. And now add it up that way, and it should make it a lot easier. Here, try these. So you should be in your example problem, these 3. Remember, if the 17, if it doesn't matter, you could put 17.0. Same with the 9 here. Make it work for you. These are going to be problems we ask you to do in class. Let me know if